Yo, welcome everyone to the We Are Gamers series. We hope you've been enjoying our 1v1 series so far, but tonight we have a special treat as we party up with our gaming buddies for the 5 stack. That's right, a group panel discussion where we will be discussing various gaming topics. So let me introduce to you tonight's 5 stack party for this amazing session. In no particular order, but actually alphabetical order. We have Avant Avant-Garde, Switchy, and the real Death by Cows. Welcome, everyone. How are you guys doing?
What's going on? Hello.
What's up? What's up?
Oh man,
And the real
Happy to
Death
be
by
here.
Cows.
the real Death by Cows is here, bro. I'm here. What you mean? What's
All right, let's
everybody?
just jump right into it. Thank you
Let's do
guys for being a part of this. You know, these 1v1s have been good, but now we gotta party up and get it going. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool.
Fun.
So now we begin. So let's start it off with this simple question. So we all play video games, and we all have our own opinion about which game is the greatest. But what actually constitutes, or what makes a great game? Like, what is a great game? What does that mean? Take it away, guys.
Very subjective.
Oh, I agree.
Just a little.
It just not even just a little. I mean, there's people that'll say Assassin's Creed is the best thing ever made.
No, not so. Not which game is actually the
No,
best.
I'm just
What-
saying that it's just a subjective thing. Everybody has their own favorite game of what's the best. Like Switchy and me can argue all day on whether or not BioShock is or is not the best game ever.
It is.
It's not to
So-
me, that's for sure.
So
But,
what would constitute a game being great? What makes it great?
Yeah,
What
what's
is
the
it that
Venn
makes it
diagram?
Win.
What's the Venn
Yeah.
diagram of like the middle part? Like, because if I was to take a game like Modern Warfare 2, everybody has their own like take on what it was while you were playing it versus what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But
sure.
I mean, I think that it really depends on the genre of gaming the genre of game that would like constitute what would make it great or not. Because first person shooter competitive play, first person shooter, co-op, first person shooter, PvP, PvE is different from a MOBA
Mm-hmm.
and what
Right.
they think people
Right.
think
Because you
a
could
great MOBA
argue,
is.
in just in the shooter genre, as you mentioned before, like, you might say, oh, Call of Duty. Why? Because of the mobility or the design or the level creation. But another person may prefer Halo because they like the more arcade style, the less about customization and more about everyone being on the same playing field. I think you have to set, I think the first circle in the diagram would be replayability. What games make you want to come back and play them again? I think that's got to be one of them. I mean, that would be my view, at least for one of the bubbles, at least in
But
that Venn diagram.
Interesting though, but does that really make it or not make it great? Because I've played games that were amazing, story wise, and I'll give an example: the Baldur's Gate series. I don't know if you guys have played any of those. They're RPG,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Heard of them,
And
never played them.
yeah, so they basically are a single player for the most part RPG story where you're going through the campaign. The story is amazing, but the story doesn't change. But I can tell you those games were so fun to play the first time, and then the second time I just didn't see a reason to play it again. I mean, the gameplay was good, but I already knew the story, which is why you play an RPG. For me, I know when we talk about gameplay, that's always been, think about it. Think about these older games, because I've had conversations with my kids, and you have these older games like Super Metroid and even the original Metroid. These are great freaking games. Their graphics are terrible, but what is it about that gameplay that keeps it going? You know what I mean? Was it the newness? Was it the technology that was used? Because if you think about it, that technology is kind of old, and the game still stands the
Kind of
test of
old.
time.
Kind
Yeah,
of old. It's
you
like
know what I'm
20,
saying?
30 years old at this point you're
I
getting up
know.
to.
Thanks.
I think, but no, but just in general, I think, but I don't think it has anything to do with the technology, because think about how many games today are
Mhm.
still super popular, but are just, in essence, side scrollers. Ori and the Blind Forest is a
Mhm.
perfect example.
Oh man,
It's
my
a side
daughter
scroller.
played that, and that is so let's go in. So let's just go into the next part. What exactly is the criteria for a great game? And give me your personal opinions, not what other people think. Freak other people. What do you guys specifically believe, in your opinions, are the criteria for a great game? Anyone can shoot it off.
I think Avante put that point out there with the Venn diagram. He seemed to have kind of an idea what he was thinking.
Mm.
I think the rehashing or the reproducing of a nostalgic game um is probably big, because if you was to look at first person shooter genre and people and the ones that grab on, like,
Mhm.
you can go all the way back to like a GoldenEye, and every first person shooter of our I guess as old as we are would know that one of the first like versions of a first person shooter like PvP that we could remember is GoldenEye for the N64.
Definitely.
Every RPG probably is every good one is probably a really good version of the best parts of Zelda. You know,
Mm.
like any kind of side scrollers, you could pick any Atari game for a side scroller that's good now, that was built on ones that like were popular back in the day. So I think to nail a nostalgic genre for us um could make it a good game. I'm thinking of new generation, like what's the grandfather of like Roblox
That's what I
and
mean. There's th-
Minecraft,
those
you
games.
know?
Those games are considered good, right? And they don't have a nostalgic portion to it. I mean, think about like even first person shooters. A lot of the people that play COD never played the original Doom. You know what I mean? Which
True.
is the granddaddy. Well, if you want to go into like originals, it's Wolfenstein 3D,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
Doom is the legit original.
It's
And
the
none of
big
these
one.
kids have played, right. I mean, how many people you know over the age of 20, I mean under the age of 20, that have actually played Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, or even the Chex Quest game? Who remembers the Chex Quest game?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Chex
That
Quest.
game
I don't even
was
know what that is.
yo, it was
Oh
a
my
free game that
god.
came it
Yes.
came in the
Chex
Game in the
Quest.
Chex box.
the
Yeah.
Chex
Yeah.
cereal.
Yeah,
It
they were
was
giving out free cereal. Yeah.
yo, it
I
used
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
PC game.
Yeah.
yes. It was a CD.
LOL.
This
It was
CD came in the
LOL.
box.
It was a
Yeah.
That
CD
is
in the box.
hysterical.
Yo,
Yep.
and that game was amazing. You were literally shooting aliens with a gun that were they looked like Chex, the Chex cereal, but they were monster. It was just such a weird concept, but because it was friendly, you know what I mean? Because my parents let me play
Right.
it, and they were like totally against any first person shooters. I was like, "Look, mom, look, it was in the cereal. It can't be crazy." I showed her what
Right.
it was, and she was like, "It's okay."
Yep.
But it
I,
was.
I
Go ahead.
I think something important, because you mentioned before about criteria for a great game, and Avante
Mm-hmm.
hit it on the nostalgic element. I don't think you can establish a true criteria, because if you look at the games that any of us play in this group, I mean, obviously, the two most popular games, or the three most popular games between the four of us here, is Diablo, League of Legends, and
Mm-hmm.
then for me at least, Destiny, at least right now.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those games share some similarities in spots or some sort
Vastly
of
different.
aspect, but they're vastly different. So what is it that brings the game back? I think there really is no true criteria for a great game, because someone like me, but all of us have one thing in common, I think, which is what I think to me makes a great game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the carrot on the stick. What makes me come back to the game?
Mm-hmm.
What makes me want to play that game?
Mm-hmm.
For guys playing Diablo, it might be grinding it out for the best item that's available. Like Destiny,
maxing, yeah.
Exactly. Destiny, coming back to play that. League of Legends, the carrot on the stick is the the grind, the rank system, the learning a new champion. There's all these different things. And even in games that you said, well, I only play them once through, there's still a carrot on the stick, which is to get the best experience out of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I
I
want to
think
finish
that's
the story. I
important.
want to see what comes next.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, if anyone's ever played that game here,
Fantastic fucking
fantastic game. But it's a lot like not the older Zeldas, but to the Zelda, like we all loved Zelda because it felt open world, but it really wasn't an open world game. It was this
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was a
large
linear
space
path. You were set on a
with a
linear
couple
path
of
with
side
all this other
quests.
stuff you can do on the side. Yeah, it's not
Right.
like Skyrim or like
Where you
GTA
can-
where you're literally
Right.
just said, "Here, that's your next thing. Go do whatever the hell you want."
And Horizon Zero Dawn did that same thing. So I think it's what is you as a player, what is your carrot on a stick? And for me, like I said, Destiny is the grinding for the gear, but it's also like the aspect of playing with a group of guys, doing a raid, playing content together. And whether it be PvP, PvE, talking about gun builds or things like that. And then obviously, I think that's the step. And then there are almost secondary steps. Like what makes Destiny really good? Well, it's an unbelievably well-crafted shooter. Smooth, the gunplay is good. Or you come to League of Legends. Well, it's a very well-crafted by an indie company.
When it works.
You know,
Small indie company.
Client
small
issues
indie
aside.
company, client issues aside, but it's a small, but it's maybe your carrot is being a one trick and learning a champion to the highest caliber. Maybe your thing is knowing every champion. Maybe your problem is you want to know every champion and you're just not good enough. But it's like this idea of what brings you back to it. And I think it's whatever your personality is. I'm a competitive person. I like coming back to things that grind. And I think that's what makes a great game is what brings you back. Because there's a lot of games that critics would rank terrible. And then I'm sure everyone has a game that you're like, that game was actually pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Yet a critic might have said it was dog water. So that to me is what it is what is your carrot on a stick that keeps you playing a game?
It's funny you say that because there's a game that I love for the SNES that people have never even heard of, and it's called Hyperzone. And people
Never heard
are
of it.
like,
Never heard of it.
What the heck is that game?" So basically, you were this vehicle. It was a rail shooter, and when you get a chance, check it out. No one knows about this game. I've played it, thought it was great. I've had other people play it. They were like, "This game kind of sucks," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is like the best freaking game in the world." But see, that's the thing. Like, where's the medium for the criteria in a great game? You know what I mean? Because this is going to lead up into this next question I asked. Because
hold on.
Go ahead.
Before we even move on, we can even boil it down to something more simple than what brings you back or the carrot on the stick or what's your draw. It's just what's fun to you. Like at the end of the day, we're not playing League of Legends because we hate it. We're not playing Diablo because we hate it.
I don't know about that.
As much as it is fucking frustrating, we still play it because we find some kind of enjoyment of getting our asses kicked and then, I guess being together in the misery of getting our asses kicked is what's so fun about it. But I mean,
I have uninstalled it. I have uninstalled it at least 15 times.
Yo, even I uninstalled it once.
But wait. Listen to what Switchy just said. He's uninstalled League of Legends multiple times and still has it on his computer right now. Why?
Because you toxic blokes don't play anything else together.
My goodness.
Besides Diablo.
Oh,
I don't
my
play with
goodness.
Avante, and Avante need a new graphics card. He can't play anything with me. No, I'm kidding.
Lol. That was
Oh,
years
but I
ago,
mean,
bro.
But he's
I mean,
He
true.
upgraded.
at the end of the day, I mean
1050.
that's honestly what I think it is. It's
Mm,
what you find fun. That's what determines whether or not the game is great or not.
yep.
Like, there's plenty of people that would say that ET game that damn near destroyed gaming as we know it
Careful.
might have been the best thing ever
Careful,
to them.
careful.
I
You
beat
know,
that
Careful.
because
game.
that
I
was their
Don't say that
first
out
I
game.
loud.
That
I beat that
like.
game.
But you got to think about it like that. There's plenty of us that the first
Mm,
game they played wasn't Crash Bandicoot. It
hmm
might have been Cool Borders 1. Like, who the hell knows? That might have been the best game they've ever played in their life.
Sequest for
It's
Atari.
super subjective.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So this will actually go into the next segment because we're talking about what actually makes a great game, and we're talking about the gaming industry because we all want to see stuff succeed. We all love a good game. No one wants to hear, oh, this game is coming out, oh, but it sucks. You know what I mean? And we've all had that experience where
Diablo
we're
3.
waiting we're waiting for a game. Yeah, I know. We're waiting for a
More.
game. It comes out. So I'm glad you brought up Diablo 3 because that's actually my answer to this next question.
Rich
What
garbage game.
so what are some of the greatest failures ever in the gaming industry? So this is a two-part question. So let's just start with that part first. What were some of the greatest failure? I'll say the Diablo 3 real money auction house. Pure pure failure. I mean,
They're
you can
garbage.
you can read it. There is no one who thinks it was a good idea that I know that is alive cuz if someone did, they're made up because it was just garbage. They put in all this time and effort. Yo, you
They're
come on,
trash.
the game was so bad. The itemization, so you have a game about loot that they didn't even care about the itemization. So you had wizard only items which needed intelligence rolling with stats like strength and dexterity that did 0 on unique items specifically for that class. And this is somehow they're saying to themselves, this is a good idea. What other failures come to mind for you guys? I could think of at least 10 off the top of my head, but I want to hear from you guys. Tell me.
Hmm.
You hit my biggest one on the head, bro. For me that was hands down one in my lifetime. That's got to be the biggest failure
I've never
that I
seen.
remember. Diablo
Yeah.
3 at launch had to be the biggest upset when it came out.
Oh my
I
goodness.
pre-ordered that shit like well a
Same.
year in advance, like
Yep.
counting down days, like
Yep.
you know, made sure my computer can run it, like, and then it came out and was just absolutely fucking
I was
disappointing.
like, yo, and you know what? Oh, I'm sorry,
Like,
guys. I know I'm asking you
like
guys, but this is like
No.
that game. Oh,
just utterly
ah,
just disappointing, that to the
yes.
point that everybody that I knew that played the game when it first came out said the same thing, like it's
Yep.
just trash. It took them patching the game and releasing it on console for it to get somewhat playable
And
and
that was
okay,
that was
and
that was
that's
almost a
what
year later.
like it was longer than a year. No,
And you want to hear the sad part? I kept playing it because I wanted to like it, and it was probably one of the most. And then it just got to a point that I'm just like, I can't play this. It's just trash. What about you guys? Switchy Avante.
Hmm.
Nukem
Come
Forever.
on, guys.
I thought about that, but I'll throw a worst game out there joke before I go into what I think is
There's
one of
a
the worst releases.
there's a lot.
Superman for the N64.
Oh, that was
Anyways,
bad. That is
that's
hands
rough.
down one
But
of the
yeah,
biggest,
that was
worst games ever. That game was bad.
depending.
So
You couldn't even end it.
no,
It
you
was
couldn't.
bad.
My game surprisingly is not going to be as uh it's not going to be old, or it's not going to be like
It's gonna
childhood
be
game that I would
Cyberpunk.
right. To
Mm,
me, Cyberpunk, because I think we talk about the carrot on the stick, coming back to a game, being wanting,
mhm,
having replay, whatever. This
mhm.
is a game that, you know, the developer of The Witcher, Witcher 3, which is one of the highest rated games of
Fantastic
all
game.
time.
Yeah.
You've got
Fantastic.
all of this history that goes into it, all of this backdrop, the hype, and then it just was a
Playability was
absolute
shit.
disaster. And you
Like,
kill.
yeah.
It's one of the few games. Like
It's
I'm
mind-boggling.
not someone who buys a lot of games now because I have a core of games that I play regularly, and then I'll drift into other things. I went out and got Cyberpunk right out the gate. When in the first 45 minutes I was driving a car, my guy, when I was on the outside view of the car, T-posed with no pants on. I was like, that's not a thing that I want to. He just T-posed out of the car and he had no pants on. I was like, what? And it was
In
like
the
the worst.
game?
Yeah, it was like a bug. Like you could drive around and your guy would just stand
my
up,
God.
T-posed, and he had no pants on.
Oh, right. That was
so
right. That would just happen.
Right. Yep. And I
So
think
bad.
that's the thing, because I think games, I think we're looking at a time right now in gaming where for every unbelievable game that there is,
Big steaming pile of shit.
right, like, so for every unbelievable game like Marvel Spider-Man,
Ooh, that was man,
the new
Spider-Man
God
was
of
good.
War.
That was good too.
You're
If you
gonna
haven't
get-
played
you're
either of
gonna
those
get-
A1 experiences, guys.
The only other
fantastic
game that
fucking
I
Yeah,
think
God
for
of War
me-
was a good one.
The only other game for me that I think rivals Cyberpunk was Anthem. Because Anthem for me was
Ooh.
supposed to be a Destiny with freaking Iron Man suits.
Yeah, Iron
and
Man Destiny, yeah.
It was dead to the point where they don't even support it anymore.
What
They
about
closed the servers.
what about that
closed the servers down.
What about that Amazon game? I don't even remember the name.
New World?
New World?
New World.
New World got a fair bit of play. It didn't have an end game, which was the problem for New World, is it ran out of an end game, that an RPG needs, like a World of Warcraft end game. It ran out of an end game. They're like, oh, we forgot about the end game. And
think about
it was dead.
So, but also think about all the MMOs that don't exist anymore, that they just faded into oblivion.
What was that
went to a
Marvel?
free-to-play
That Marvel
model.
one, that big
WildStar.
Marvel one.
That was pretty bad.
There was
Yeah,
one
Marvel
WildStar. WildStar was crazy fun, and the audience just was
PlanetSide.
PlanetSide. PlanetSide was.
another one.
I thought PlanetSide had potential, because PlanetSide reminded me of a game me and Yvonne played called Shattered Galaxy, and the global aspect of what you had to do. Instead of it being an RTS, though, it was a first person shooter. And it was a first person shooter with vehicles. You could like do tanks, planes, which I thought was like, yo, this is amazing. And yeah, there's PlanetSide 2 though, and apparently it's still going. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot. I mean, it's how the game's rebooted. I mean, for example, a game that had a really poor launch was Star Wars: The Old Republic. Then they went free to play with a kind of a, battle pass, kind of buy materials model, and it survived. But again, it takes. I mean, the MMO thing is interesting. It's hard to compare MMOs because apparently it takes like 7 years, 8 years to develop an MMO, and then they tank within the first like 6 months.
I'll give you a good. Well, WildStar started strong, and I don't know what the heck happened, but that game just literally fell off the face of the earth. And
Talking about something super obscure.
It was
WildStar.
No, WildStar.
Paladins was another game that died out real fast. An Overwatch clone.
Well, that was a super.
Overwatch Paladins came out at the same time as Overwatch, and what's that other one?
But it was a legit
other one that
clone,
came out?
Man.
That Blizzard made.
So let me.
Blizzard made like 3 at one time.
So let me.
I don't have a.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I don't have a game that I think was a outright failure that sticks out of my mind. I do have aspects of games that I thought was whack over time that I noticed, especially hearing you guys talk about it, is way more apparent in recent times than it did back in the day for us.
Give an example.
Like I
What are you
think
talking about?
I think like when it became more and more obvious that companies are trying to make money with microtransactions and trying to ride the coattails of a game or a genre that was hot, and then junk comes out because of it. There's like almost feels like it's a mad rush to jump on whatever the fad is.
Yeah.
That's why Paladins would fail, because
right.
they're not the original of that time. They're not the main hot thing at the time for it to catch. And I think it's maybe because a lot of that is just companies need to make money. They need to profit. They're not in the charity business. They're in the profit business. So
Mm,
it becomes the video games become a business transaction, and because of that, stuff gets rushed and stuff gets
mm-hmm,
thrown out there because they're on a timeline, on a deadline,
mm-hmm,
according to whatever powers that be, whether they're a publicly traded company or not. They are, I guess, pressed. Uh, the business pressure from their competitors push them to like cut corners and do stuff that doesn't make sense, like the Diablo 3 example.
mm,
Like I think EA, as a company, got amongst all the other stuff that they got to deal with, the nonsense that they're involved with, like the the
Oh
the
boy.
pay to win and the
mm-hmm,
microtransaction stuff like that, like really started to. And that's why I think in recent times we can label failures, because that's really a recent thing. That really was not a thing that was
mm,
in, I guess, public knowledge or public awareness back in like N64 days or Sega Genesis days or
mm-hmm,
PlayStation days.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's
But
one.
we also have the issue of manufacturers releasing unfinished games. So
Well,
And then DLC.
that's the thing. Okay, before I bring that up though, there's one MMO that I want to bring up that is an absolute failure. Just it was called Star Wars Galaxies. I don't
Oh,
know
I
if
remember that.
yeah, I played that was probably the first MMO that I actually became heavily vested in. And that was such a fun MMO, and for some reason you can Google it if you have the chance, if you want to see what I'm talking about, just Google Star Wars Galaxy. I think it's NGE or something like that. So basically, they took a game that was successful. Mind you, this game has been out for a few years. It's a success. It's like up there with World of Warcraft in terms of popularity, in terms of it hit all the right buttons. It was an official Star Wars licensed game, and they changed it, and I have no idea why they did this. They changed the game in such a way that they dumbed it down to try to grab a different audience. And what ended up happening is that their existing player base, literally everyone left this game and they did not get any new players. And guess what
Well, I
happened?
mean, they died.
Right. They
That's
killed
that's exactly what happened to Destiny.
they killed themselves though. I mean, it was well Destiny 1 or Destiny
Destiny
2?
had a well, the problem was, so Destiny 2 wanted to reboot the game for more casual users. So in the first year of Destiny 2, one of the biggest changes that they eliminated was random rolls. So basically that meant that a
Mm,
gun would not drop with a random roll, it would
right. It was
drop
static.
with a
Yeah.
set static roll. So once you got that gun,
That was it.
that was it. So it killed the opening the game. Now they were smart enough to reverse that thing and move forward. But I think really quick, I wanted to make a really good point, Avante's point, which was the idea of games, um, games that miss on something, and that makes a huge
Mm,
difference. I
mm,
think that is a big deal because a lot of games, especially as we go further along, they have a point that they hit on. They
mhm,
have something that they hit on. Like New World's gameplay is apparently very good,
mhm,
but you
mhm,
miss the end game. You of Anthem, unbelievable gameplay
mhm.
and mobility and design.
Yeah.
No end game. You miss the end game for a game that's designed to have an end game.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I
like
think
what
is the
happened with Overwatch. It
right,
was multiplayer only. There was no story. There was nothing else to do.
but I
Well,
don't necessarily think it has
Overwatch
something to
was
do with a story. I think it
Overwatch
has
was
to do
kind of a
with
success. It just is
you
old.
lose, but you
Overwatch
lose.
teetered the brink of success and failure.
Right.
It was a wild dance. It did.
I think it's
Which
just because what happens is what we want in games,
mhm.
what people want. isn't necessarily what everyone wants. But what you're missing, what you end up missing is you don't, you, instead of creating a good core, you miss something. Oh, we got a good core, like a good core Overwatch play that plays well. But the problem is, then the game gets stagnant. And because it's all shields and it's all this. So like League of Legends even has that problem right now. It's too much movement creep. So now everyone has to have a dash. But how do you reverse that? You can't, because you've already snowballed that. So now every champion has like 15 different ways to jump sideways. So the key is making sure that you keep your game, you get your core element is good. If your core element is bad, you don't have anything to build on. And I think that's a real big problem, is too many games today miss their core. And then but then like Marvel Spider-Man, they went back to the drawing board and they said, what's the core of Spider-Man? Is it combat? No. It's a dude who can swing from buildings. So what did they do? They went back to Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube and figured out how that guy did the swinging aspect, where it followed the laws of physics to some extent. And that's what you swing and stuff. So the key is getting that core. And I think Avante hit the point more than anyone. It's one thing to have a game failure. It's another thing to sink $50 million into development of a game and just,
That's what I'm
that to
saying.
me is worse. That to me is worse.
So that's actually the second part of this question. So, you have these failures, but hasn't recently, I mean, I don't know about you guys, and you guys could totally disagree with me on this, but doesn't it seem like the same failures keep happening? Why are these failures allowed to happen? You know what I mean? Cuz I know, all right, so let me take it from a project management perspective, right? You have a project, you have to do X, Y, and Z by a certain amount of time, which is how these game companies are doing this. You know what I'm saying? They're not just throwing it to the wind. And I'm just wondering, because there were games in the past that were made by dudes in their garages that became successes. You know what I mean? What happened? Because now we have failures that keep happening, like the recent failure, Cyberpunk, these MMOs that just can't launch off the ground, or an MMO that just gets run into the ground for whatever reason. Why do these failures why are they allowed to happen? Are we allowing them to happen? Is that the gamer's fault for why is it? Hash
Expectations. CD Project Red made Witcher. Your expectations now mean that you can make games that are better than the majority of people. So your expectations are a lot higher. I don't put a lot of expectations on a guy making a side scroller, 2D side scroller in his garage. So if he makes a quality side scroller, that's great. But once he builds a studio and puts out 2 or 3 quality games and they sink millions of dollars into his production, people expect that. When I buy that side scroller game and it costs me $7 on Steam, great. Money is an aspect. Cyberpunk was 60, 70, $80.
and it was garbage. It
You're
was terrible.
sinking money. You're spending a lot of money on games now. They're not, they were always expensive, but you didn't have this. We have a much higher expectation of what a AAA game should be. And that, I think, is why we personally, I don't think as many games are as big failures as we think that they are. We play them and go, this AAA game stinks. I don't want to play this anymore. And a lot of people say that. Cyberpunk's not a bad game. It's actually a very good game. But the expectation of Cyberpunk is not great. It's just like all of us playing League of Legends. We all remember back in the day there was this 500 RP skins. Remember those? And they're like, yikes. Now we expect every skin to look like it could fly off the map and go out on go and hang out with you.
Some of them can.
In terms of quality, even at that micro small level.
Yeah.
You know now, I mean, look, if you go back and look at the original Ultimate skin, the 3250 RP skin, it's Ezreal.
Ezreal.
He was the first
Yep.
one. That Ezreal
Pulsefire Ezreal.
was the worst skin
Oh,
to
was it?
use on Ezreal ever.
It
I
still
owned it. I
is.
bought it. No, it's better now because of the rework, but it used to be the worst skin because there was a hiccup in his auto attack animation. So it made it hard to get his auto attack animation. You actually ran Explorer Ezreal, which was a 750 RP skin. That's what people used. But the point is, you spend 3250 on a skin, in RP, I expect that skin to be top tier. Well, guess what? That skin is still 3250. Obviously remade now with the new Ezreal, it looks nice because Ezreal got reworked in terms of visuals. But back then, you bought that skin, a skin today versus that skin then is 30 times better. So the expectation of what people want changes in games. And I think that's very, because even games like Elder Scrolls Online, quality game, but the expectation was a
So-
lot higher. So
so-
it missed expectations, I think,
So-
of what people want.
So someone said DLC earlier. I'm in the camp.
Switch.
Was it switchy? Okay. I'm in the camp that DLCs have become one of the greatest failures in gaming.
I wouldn't say that.
No,
Why not?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't say that because take a game like Skyrim,
Mhm.
where the base game alone, easy to sink 300 hours and you haven't done shit.
Mhm.
Then you add on all the DLC. Now you're talking about you're adding vampires and werewolves. You're adding building a house, raising children, forging extra shit. Like it adds, we're talking an extra 150, 300 hours worth of shit for you to just dick around and do. Like you can go fishing just to fish.
Right.
Like, what? And you're telling me all I paid was an extra, well, at that point, it would have been an extra $50 in DLC to have all that.
So you guys
So
don't
you-
think that DLCs have been almost, I feel like, see, in that example, that DLC is actually more like a mini expansion. But I've seen it the other way around where you have a game rushed to get released and then they release a DLC that fixes a lot of the problems they have. So I'll give a perfect example. Diablo 3.
Yeah.
They had they had a new patch that came out, and I think it was the Necromancer patch or something like that, where they had a lot of fixes, but you needed to buy that patch. There's been a bunch of other games. They release a game, and instead of fixing it, this happened with Destiny in the beginning. I don't know if you agree with the switch, but that's how I felt it was. They rush things so hard, and then what they do, they throw down a DLC saying, "Oh, look, this new DLC allows you to do this," when in reality, that's what the game should have done from the beginning. I mean, think about it. When's the last time we've actually received a full complete game that we could say is good? Not saying that a DLC isn't bad to have with it when it's a good game, but how many games the DLC is like the crutch to fix it, but you have to pay for it, which I think is insane.
I've never seen DLC fixing bugs in a game. I've seen day one patches fixing bugs in a game.
I think you have to understand one thing and one thing very clearly when it comes to DLC. We like to compare games to what we played as kids. All right? And a perfect example is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Okay? We go, look at this complete game that they released. Sure. Do you know how long it takes you to play Ocarina of Time and do every side quest? It's like a 40-hour game, maybe a 45-hour game.
Yeah, it's
maybe
very
50.
short.
It's not as big as you think. It just felt big because we were all kids. And it was like, oh my gosh, this game is so big.
We were all stupid.
I
and
think
didn't know any
Avante
better.
would agree with me on that. Avante, right? I mean, Zelda felt like a big game to you, I'm sure.
I actually never played Zelda.
Oh, you didn't play Zelda? Okay.
Avante
Oh.
reported. Reported.
Yep.
I'm reporting
Reported.
you for now on.
Honestly.
Reported.
I've
So,
never
what was your
played Zelda.
favorite game? What was your favorite game?
I was the fighter games. Like I was playing Double Dragon, Ninja Turtles,
So
side
you
scroller with
take a
Mario
game,
Brothers.
right? So take a game like Super Mario, or regular like people go like, did you consider that as you were a kid that was a complete game?
Mhm.
Everything was in the game.
Yeah.
The problem is
I agree with
we look at games now and go, oh, this isn't a complete game. They're giving us DLC. Yes, you're paying for extra content, but I think it's a misnomer because do you know how long it would take you to do a full completionist run of Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Oh, what
It's
is
like
it? 120 hours?
It's a 120-hour game.
It's something really stupid.
Right. I did like 95. I did like a 90% run at the beginning of COVID.
Which is
And
why
I was like, I want to go crazy by the end. But
bro, it's sitting in my Amazon Prime right now, and I'm like, yo, maybe
I was like half
maybe I want to
working.
play it. Then I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna sink no time into
Well, the
that. 'cause
story was great.
it's-
The story mode alone is 40 hours.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a 40-hour time suck.
But that's a
Right.
but that's kind of a complete game in and of itself, though.
Right, but there is DLC that adds 15 to 20 hours on that game.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm not
I
saying
don't
that
think there's a
DLCs
game
are.
that crutches. I don't think there's a DLC, in my opinion. Like Destiny didn't release a DLC that crutches the game.
Exactly. Exactly.
You have to be careful. There's a new term in this industry now. They call it live service games. There are games now that are built on that Warcraft model. Destiny is considered a live service game. Warcraft is a live service game. What it is it's a constant stream of content. You pay every year a charge in order to make the studio continue to create content for that game. Remember, Nintendo, once Ocarina of Time was finished, they boxed it in those little cartridges and they never did a thing with it ever again. So the idea is that most of the games that have DLC you're creating new content, you have live patches. Now we can argue the price of DLC.
Yo,
That's
where
important.
yeah,
That's
the
a
price
different
of
conversation.
DLC,
Like
exactly.
Destiny added on the 30th anniversary pack
Yeah, don't
back
get me
in the
started
fall
on
in
that.
December.
You
I
already
don't
know
have a
my
problem with
opinion.
it.
Yo,
But here's the thing: you bought
just think it's
Galahorn, which is a pay
so
to win.
expensive.
That's what you paid for. But you paid $15 for a dungeon,
Yeah,
and you paid
then
$15 for a gun. But remember,
their battle
it
pass is
depends on who-
$10.
but wait, hold
remember-
on a second.
Mhm.
I have one solid question about this.
sure.
We're all here talking about the positive, the negative of DLC. When the better question is, when is it enough? Because
See, that's
think
that's
about
what I'm
no,
saying.
no, hold on. Because think about it like this, Switchy. How long has Destiny been out? Destiny 2.
It released in 2017.
Okay, and how many DLCs have they released for Destiny 2 in that time? We're on what? This
Okay,
is number
5?
6?
So we got
6 is coming up.
Destiny, then we get the seasonal content.
No,
We
no, no, not
have
the seasonal
Warmind-
content.
No. I'm just
No,
Just
no,
the
I'm
just
counting.
the
Warmind-
just
hold
the
on.
expansion.
Hold on.
I'm counting. So
Yeah, let-
Warmind, Curse of Osiris, Forsaken.
Yeah, that's
Then they
it.
started doing seasonal, but then you'd pay. When Forsaken dropped, they switched to a different model. They went away from direct DLCs and they went to one large DLC or expansion into 3 seasonal content. So it's like fresh content. I mean, you're at a point now. If I load up my Destiny,
Yeah, and you got to pay
Let's
for
see.
all those extra things.
exactly,
right,
but that's
you're
what I'm
getting all
saying.
content.
Yes, you're getting all that content. You're essentially getting at the end of that entire season a brand new game. So essentially,
Right.
you repaid for Destiny a second time. So if you
Right.
if you just lump sum that you've essentially bought Destiny now three, maybe 3.5 times over when you include base original purchase and then all the DLC, not including battle passes, because that's a separate fucking
So,
beast
but
and a separate conversation for a different day when
but
we're not just talking about DLC.
but the battle passes you have to pay for and lock content behind that as well, which I think is a little bit much as well, because those battle passes
Yes,
are $10 each.
but
And
I really think the cost really depends on what you do. So I just looked at my Destiny. All right. I have on Steam. Okay. Now this does not log my first year of Destiny on PC, which was Forsaken, which was no, I'm sorry, D1, because remember Destiny
Yeah,
1
you
on
have
its
a
release, Destiny
stupid number
2,
of hours on Destiny, right?
Destiny 2, when Destiny 2 was released, it first was on Blizzard for the first year.
Yes.
yeah,
2 years almost, I
yeah,
think, actually.
it
I
was
don't
for a
think it
while.
went,
It
I
was
think
for a
it went
while.
Steam. I think it went Steam and Beyond Light. So before that, it was on
Yeah, that's 2
Activision.
years,
It was
man.
on Blizzard. So it was 2 years on that. I have played Destiny on Steam alone 2,200 hours. So that is about 92 days of
Mm,
Destiny.
So, but that's what I'm saying. So all that to say, for you,
mm,
DLC for Destiny is not a failure. It
No.
is a huge success. It brought you back to the game. It kept you sucked in. It kept you coming back. So
Right.
that's not to say DLC as a whole is a failure. It's just to say that DLC in certain situations, absolute trash for sure.
So I'll
I
give
think it
one
depends too
example.
on the
It does
game.
it does
You know?
depend.
Exactly,
I'm
exactly.
not I'm not
It's very
saying
situational.
it's not a blanket
Right.
statement. I've seen it when it first started. I forget what the heck game it was, and I noticed the game wasn't. It was a first person shooter, and it wasn't. It's an old. This was like in 2000. It wasn't a great. It came out super buggy, and a DLC came out. Oh, I wish I can. I can't remember for the life of me this game, and I didn't write it down like an idiot
But you
when
got
I
to
thought about
remember
it.
a
But
DLC might be different back then, because DLCs then, a lot of games, we forget, a lot of games back in 2000, 2001 did not have patch support
well, see,
like they
this
do
was the thing.
now.
When I saw this, I saw the direction and it worried me because I thought to myself, "Oh no, if a game people are going to start rushing these games or taking advantage of people's wallets to get bytes of stuff out." Cuz here, I'll give you an example of a game that dropped that was a complete game. And this is probably the only game recently that has done this, and that's Star Wars Squadrons. That game when it came out was that was the game. It was $40. It had a campaign which was really fun, and its main draw was the multiplayer, which I actually played a lot. I was into ranked and everything. That game was just phenomenal the way that game worked. But that game was complete. And even now, from what I understand, it's been about I want to say 3 or 4 years since it's been released, and you've gotten your $40 out of it. Some people still play it. The rank scene, from what I understand, is still kind of active in that game because there's no
But
other game
that's
like it.
but there's an argument to be said there, that is
Mm,
that because the game doesn't have DLC, or the game, it fits a unique niche in the market. Like, I mean, a perfect so we've been battling back and forth here on, not battling, but talking about games and DLC.
mhm.
One thing I'm curious is, there's one guy in here that plays one game, two games maybe, in Avante. He plays Diablo and he plays League, which at the end of the day, League is no DLC. It's just if you want to spend money on skins.
Mm.
So it's, I think every game, DLC adds a different value to different people, because the games that I play, the if the
Twitchy.
experience gets me time and money out of it, then I benefit from paying additional for new content. But I just don't think you'll see this
saying the
idea
same
of a
thing, guys.
complete game. Yeah, I don't think there's a
We're
complete
going in
game
circles
thing.
here.
Well, Avante mentioned something with microtransactions.
That I
is-
think is a different problem, but that's League
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. I mean, so that'll actually transition because that's a trend that we've seen more games going
Horrible
towards,
trend.
right?
Oh! Speaking microtransactions, this is perfect because I just read this today, and while it's fresh on my mind, and before I forget it in about 30 seconds, Diablo Immortal. So, peep
Yes.
this. Let me give you guys
137
some
grand?
stuff here. So, no bullshit. Apparently, there were third-party vendors selling eternal orbs, which is a level up currency for Diablo Immortal. Now, these third-party vendors were
boy.
selling their orbs at a discount price. So you'll get like 70, 200 orbs for like $80 when buying it through Diablo would have cost you 100.
Mm.
Okay, so over the weekend, Diablo and Blizzard went and said, "Hey, look, all those orbs that y'all bought, we're gonna take back, but we're not gonna ban you, and we're just gonna put your account in the negative."
Low.
So there are currently dudes running Diablo Immortal who have negative 2.5, 2.6 million eternal orbs, and they can't essentially play the game until they clear that balance.
But see, that's the thing. You have those third party sites. So here, let me just ask this next question. So, what are the trends?
Wow.
What trends are the
Yeah,
video
right
gaming
on.
industry
About that.
making that are actually no? I'm not going to ask this question yet. So, with the microtransactions, because I believe that's also a failure too. Have the third party sites like boom off of that though? Whenever you have a game that has microtransactions, I feel like, but that's not true because
Problem is
you also
not-
have gold selling websites for most games. I know WoW, it was big.
Right. But
And-
Avante hit the point clean. Microtransactions, we're joking about Diablo because Diablo is considered like a hardcore
Or pay
gamers
to
kind
win,
of
for
game.
sure. For sure.
Pay
Pay
to
to
win
win
game.
microtransactions.
I'm going to tell
Definitely.
you where the
Sure.
real problem is. The real problem stems when it comes to microtransactions in it stems above a game like League of Legends. It stems from their now primary owner, which is Tencent.
They own almost everything.
owns they own a huge number of games. They actually
Yeah,
own a huge
yeah.
number. But here's the thing, I'll never forget. First time I ever met Avante, when we were first talking about playing League, and I told him to play Jace to get out of bronze. There was another game that him and I started playing together.
I did it with Thresh instead, just for the record.
Clash of
Low.
Clans. Was it Clash of Clans?
Clash of
or was it
Clans.
Castle? What was the Castle one?
That was it.
Oh,
Clash of Clans.
No, Kenny Brown. I had a Kenny Brown called it Casual Crushes, by the way. Death had
Remember
called
that?
League
It
of
was
Legends
like you
Casual
could play
Crushes
it.
because we were
Yeah.
playing Clash of Clans too.
Yeah, but you could play. Yep, you could play. But remember, it was like the
You
game
have
was
to
useless if
buy
you didn't spend
If
money.
you wanted to, yeah, because
Yep.
you had
Yeah.
like a
That's
certain
the
number of
problem.
times
Buy
to
is
attack
resources and
somebody.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to-
Farmville. That was the
Oh,
market.
Farmville,
It's
yeah.
it's not you or I.
I
Mafia
hate that.
Wars.
I hate that.
Right. We
It's-
don't have a problem with I don't like microtransactions, but the difference is microtransactions that we purchase are generally in games that we're playing significant time in that are considered high quality games from a standpoint of the studio and all of that. It's the microtransactions. I mean, you've heard DJ, his son's trying to buy
Fucking
coins,
Roblox. Yeah, Robux.
and
Mhm,
orbs or some material for Pokemon Go
Yo,
or whatever he's playing, the new Pokemon Ignite or whatever.
yeah.
So that's where the microtransaction problem is because you've essentially created games like a game like League of Legends, a game like Valorant, a game like Lost Ark. Maybe not Lost Ark, but yeah, Lost Ark. It's free to
Lost
play.
Ark, but Lost Ark kind of has the microtransaction problem because
A little bit.
you can get ahead with
Genshin. They call them gotcha games.
Genshin
They call
is
them gotcha
definitely
games.
definitely one of those.
But at the
that-
end of the day, if you play Genshin, it's the end game that the microtransactions help you unlock. But the game itself, you can run around, you can play, you can do a
It's
little bit
free
of
to
content.
pay, but if you want
Yeah.
to, so
Right.
you're either a dolphin, a whale, or free to play. That's what it
Correct.
is.
Dolphin or whale. It's funny. I have a coworker. She was talking to. I overheard this conversation. She's telling her coworker. She's like, I don't get it. My kid just spent $2,000 on something called Genshin Impact. What is that? And I heard that.
Ooh.
I started laughing so loud because she got her credit card number and started charging on it. You know, she wasn't supposed to. Like, and I'm saying to myself, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I know there's one game, Star Trek Online, that
Mhm.
you can do everything in. Like, I've never put a single cent into that game. I even have top end game ships that I grinded out, you know, doing the currency to premium currency trading and stuff like that. But there's been articles about how they market, and it was very. So they talked to like their development team and the management team, and the management team literally knows about people who can't control themselves and
Yep.
spend thousands of dollars. So we'll make it so the things like the gambling, the loot boxes, things like that, microtransactions that give you this chance to get something good. They and 'cause that's a big
It
one that
preys on gamblers, yeah,
it preys
Like
because they
on
even
can't
that,
people in
control it.
Europe,
Yeah.
and
a
it's
lot of
straight,
European
but
countries.
And that's
and they're
exactly
starting
why
to
the
ban it
European countries ban it. Exactly.
because it's dangerous. And but these companies are preying on this, making. There was a lady, they said they quoted as spending over $100,000.
No,
They knew
hold up.
they knew
So
she
I
had a
used to.
they knew she had a
Go ahead.
problem. They knew she had a problem, but they didn't care because she was funding them, and it was just sad. And yeah, it was crazy. Go ahead, Kyle. I
So
thought that was absurd.
I was playing a Final Fantasy gotcha game, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
Mm,
Um, I was part of the Reddit. I played that game for a while, from the moment it came out to probably maybe about 2 years ago.
yeah.
Um, there was a guy in the Reddit. He was like he made a post. It just fucking came out of the blue too. Dude made the post. He was like, guys, I'm leaving the community for good, and it went into detail. He was like, I am currently like 800. He was like, I'm like $85,000 in credit card debt from just buying these
Just
loot
buying.
boxes to try to play
Oh,
this game.
My
Like
terrible.
lord.
I'm
I
spending
believe that.
my fucking rent
I
money on
believe
this
that.
game.
Yep.
Like my wife is ready to divorce me. Like he was like, yo, I am destroying my life playing this
Hmm.
game. And if I don't stop playing, I'm gonna end up, destitute and fucking homeless.
Yo.
Like, yo,
That's the one
and
advantage with World of Warcraft
but then
because
but
you got a
hold up. So
mod.
then he makes the post. Like 6 months later, he comes back. He's like, "Hey guys, I've been doing good. I actually got into rehab. I'm in like Gamblers Anonymous and shit." He's like,
Yo.
"This it actually showed me that I had a really big, deeper problem and shit." Like wow.
That's.
You never realize how these gotcha games prey on people
Hmm.
like that, and
Hmm.
then you hear shit like this, and you're like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, and they straight up just prey on you, and
I think the model is to move towards a subscription based thing where you get content because I mean I never played WoW, but every one of my friends who talks about WoW, you know
Mhm.
what I always love their statement. I always go, "Yeah, I've been off WoW for about 8 years now."
Sound
They
like
talk about
drug
it like it's
addicts.
drugs, addict, and I think
yo,
that is kind of the
I've
problem.
said that phrase.
Of course,
So then, what trends is the video game industry making that are in the right direction? We've talked about the failures. We've talked about what we think are the. We've talked about the microtransactions. We've talked about all this stuff. What trends have you guys seen specifically in
unpopular opinion, my opinion. I think this is an unpopular opinion, but I think it's the right way. Is I think the going to the Game Pass models.
Oh hell yeah, I love that.
like
I
the
think
battle
that's
That
great
is
pass?
because you pay
definitely
no, not Battle
no.
Pass,
Game
like
Pass. So
PC, like
like
Xbox Game
PlayStation
Pass.
Online and then Xbox Game
Oh,
Pass,
okay,
where you
okay.
get like free games
You
and
could rent the
shit, and
game and
yeah,
get a
yeah,
free game
yeah.
a month. Mm.
I
Like
think the
I
problem
love the
is you
way
don't own
Xbox
the
is doing
game.
it.
the problem is you don't own it. You just own the rights to play it. So if you cancel, you don't get to play it anymore. But I think the idea of being able to go on, open up Game Pass and be like, I've never played that. Like the other day, I've been trying to find a good little builder style game because like something where you can sit down in your computer at like 10:30 at night and just do everything with just your mouse. Like the old days it would have been like Roller
Age of
Coaster
Empire.
Tycoon or yeah, but I don't want to like actually have to micromanage guys. Like
Oh,
just build little cities and stuff.
Oh, you want like Lego Builder, bro? They
Maybe.
got a phone app for that.
That's funny.
No, but I like to sit in front of my computer. But it's this idea that I think that's a positive trend. Is being able to get people access to a lot of games that they never used to play before. Because
No,
at the same
I agree with that.
time, the downside is I think that's a better model than releasing Skyrim 15 times on 14 different devices. You know what I mean? Like, and everyone buys it.
It
I own
saves my
Skyrim on like
pocket
4
because
different devices.
I don't know.
Same.
I think
Same.
that's a good trend too, though. Being able to play the same. I like not. I like the crossplay. I like that crossplay is becoming a thing now. But I also like cross progression. Because
Yes,
now
I love cross progression.
cross progression has been one of the best, in my opinion, because now you could play a game on the Switch, and you have your character. It's the same character where you're at is saved. So now you're playing it on the Switch. You can play it if you leave your house, then you come back, you jump on your PC, and you can literally you don't have to start a new, playing the exact same game, start a new account with a new character, or continue because you find stuff. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I think that's been a great direction that the industry is heading. I mean, Avante, what you say? You've been quiet. You have that silky, sexy voice, bro. Come on, talk to us. What what trends? Tell us the trends that you see that video games are going that you think is a good direction.
I don't see a lot of it, but um, I think where they should go, because I'm not seeing this right now, but the way Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the Steam worked to be able to have co-op fighters from and not even need the game, be able to have your buddies hop on. I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good trend to be able to like do like a side scroller co-op like that. Like
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of things that I think they could bring back that would be good. I agree with crossplay. That actually is heavy into why I wouldn't double buy a game. That if I'm gonna play a game, I have to commit to PC because I will not buy a console knowing that I'm unless I'm buying it for console specific. Like if I'm buying PlayStation 4 God of War, then I'm getting it for God of War, and then any other
On PC now.
PlayStation exclusives is good. But like the yeah, it wasn't until recently, but like that as an example is like the reason why I would not do that because I'm not from the even if I like the game, I'll buy it on multiple on multiple spots. I'm gonna commit to one,
Who
and
does
I'm
that?
just gonna go. I'm just gonna go all in
I own
on the
Skyrim
one.
on 4 different platforms, 5 different platforms.
So yeah, I think cross play and cross progression would be good.
Mm.
I think that's a good trend. I think I actually like just how mainstream it's become,
Hmm.
and how it's pretty much
Mm.
part of the culture now. Like it wasn't like that when we started. So
Which part?
Nah, bro,
Amen
The
fuck that.
and
Fuck
the,
those guys.
the cross
Fuck those guys
progression?
beating us up because we like to play video games. They don't deserve to play video games. I'm a gatekeeper. Fuck them guys.
Lol.
Just like with anime. They didn't like anime then. They don't deserve to
anime,
like anime that. Fuck
yep,
those
Oh my
guys.
god.
yep, and anime and gaming. Yo, okay, you know what? Here
Fuck
is
them all.
I like
Damn,
that you
bro.
mentioned that. Here's what I think is gonna happen. I think the way um hip hop became part of the culture here in the
Mm.
US, and that
So
was
is
the music
anime and
genre,
gaming?
and sports and hip hop were like linked together.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
gamers and gaming and anime is going to be the next thing that's going to be mainstream.
total
That's where I think
joke.
it's
Did
going.
you hear about what happened to Kyler Murray when it comes to gaming? So
No.
here's a funny story. So
Oh
Kyler
no.
Murray is a You'll laugh. It's a funny story. Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, he's the guy that has it in his contract that he has to fucking study and shit because he plays video games.
What?
Yep. I guess Death by Chaos just stole the thunder. Thank you.
No, go ahead. Explain it better than that because that was a super shitty explanation.
So Kyler Murray.
Go ahead, explain that shit. Listen.
I saw a TikTok about that.
Yeah,
I
so
saw a
Kyler
TikTok
Murray,
about that. That's so funny.
So he's a superstar quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. But someone looked at his numbers, his performance numbers, and he starts off usually very strong in the season, and then when November hits, his numbers start to dip. So the funny part is that Kyler Murray is not only a member of the Arizona Cardinals, he's also signed as a content creator and promoter of FaZe Clan, which is the gaming team and gaming organization FaZe. So he's part of FaZe as well. They play FaZe is like
it's Call of Duty.
100 Thieves.
No, right. But what does he play specifically?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. So
okay.
Call of Duty's come out in November. And his numbers dip in November. And so the idea is that the joke is that he plays Call of Duty more than he cares about playing this. And so the team had an issue with what they felt was he was not putting in enough time in the film room and everything. So in his contract, they wrote a clause that said you need to go home and do additional or do it in the thing, and you have to do a certain amount of additional tape time and study time.
That is hilarious.
For the game, and obviously, but it got leaked and embarrassed them, and it turned into a whole big thing. But this idea, I mean, the other idea is that part of FaZe Clan is also LeBron James's son, Bronny. He's a member of FaZe.
No way.
Yeah, Nick Merckx. So when they do a little bit, but Nick Merckx, like who's the big, he's part of FaZe as well. He, he plays, one of his closest friends is Mike Evans, who's the all-star Pro Bowl wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And they play together in like Fortnite tournaments.
That's hilarious.
As like in these live events where they do like celebrity tournaments. Yeah. So the whole thing is I think everyone plays video games. I think we've moved past this idea that it's like, I know friends. I mean, I was at the gym the other day, and there was this this one girl who was working out hardcore, and someone said, "Oh yeah, she's like a fitness trainer, and she does all this kind of like additional content for like health." I said, "Oh, all right." So I started following her on Instagram, and her Instagram story, like right now, I looked in the last 20 minutes ago, she's posting her playing Fortnite and Call of Duty. Like it's and this is someone that if you saw her in person 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you'd be like, that girl doesn't play video games at all. She would like laugh at me.
Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
Ronda Rousey plays WoW.
Really?
And she talks
Henry
about
Cavill.
That is so funny.
In a interview with Conan O'Brien. Yeah,
Well, he played WoW and Warhammer. Did you hear the story about how Henry Cavill missed the call that he was going to play Superman because he was playing WoW?
He was raiding,
He was raiding in WoW, and he got a call from Zack Snyder, the director, and it went to voicemail, and he called him back, and it was like, oh, by the way, you're Superman. Yeah, he did. He talked about it on the Graham Norton interview.
It. Yes.
So I think gaming has bridged stuff. I think what we have to be careful of now is just like this idea that gaming, because now it's accepted, no one's going to go, oh, you go home and play Call of Duty. That's fine. But I think we're past the point where it's not accepted. I mean, professional people play it, athletes play it, people play it in all forms. So I think the stigma's gone. I think I don't think there's too many negatives to gaming anymore. I think now you could argue that games are so good that everyone's playing for hours on end. And it's like, okay, I think that's where the balance needs to come into play is, what are we playing? And I think, and for someone who's toxic in gaming, breaking away from what used to be that competitive nature, because not everyone is like that. That was gaming in a nutshell. It was always whatever you were doing, it was competitive in some capacity, or you treated it as competition because it was what you did. Now everyone plays it. There's so many more casuals to it.
Yeah. So where do we think gaming is just going overall? I mean, is it a good direction where it's going, a bad direction? Like where is it going? Because you brought up the point. That was a good point because now you have, and I'll be honest, I think these people always played video games for the most part. A lot of people really didn't like to talk about it, but especially people in their, I want to say like 30s and 40s, we were the group that grew up on the consoles more or less. PC wasn't big until like 2000. And we know about GoldenEye. We know about those crazy multiplayer couch experiences, and unfortunately, that's been one of the things, and I think Kyle's made this point a few days ago in one of our discussions, how like that's something that's been, I guess, moved away, which
Oh, yeah, it was a TikTok I sent in our group
right,
chat.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. And
Nostalgia's
he talked,
overrated.
and you think so? I mean,
100%.
I
So there's
love.
a big nostalgia problem right now in
Mhm.
gaming. But I think it's the problem in gaming right now is the same problem in movies. We just keep going to the same well. We're gonna make
Yeah.
the 14th Spider-Man. We're
Yeah.
gonna make the 15th. There's talk that they're in contracts to start up a third National
Oh, there's
Treasure.
no like
We just
original
keep
IPs
No,
that are
that's
coming
actually
out.
happening. That's going
yeah,
straight to
that
Disney Plus.
and so you talk about nostalgia. So
And they're
in the
Hispanic
gaming,
this time. What?
yeah. So in the gaming world, there has been a big story as of late. So what is everyone knows one of the biggest games to ever come out in the history of gaming? Mr. Master Chief and Halo. I think we would all agree. Halo is one of the most iconic franchises that's ever been made in gaming.
Mhm.
So
I think if it
obviously,
wasn't for Halo,
Mhm.
Xbox wouldn't exist.
Of
But
course, Halo
but
built
but there
Xbox.
was there was a good
Halo built Xbox.
there was a point that
But
Avante brought out about Ninja Turtles, and I don't know about y'all, but I haven't had fun like that because it was just we all jumped in the game and we were laughing, having a good time. A whole hour passed like nothing. It felt like we were at
Yeah,
somebody's house. I
but
mean,
nostalgia is overrated because nostalgia isn't. I don't spend hundreds, thousands of dollars on a PC, $500-600 on an Xbox or a PlayStation to play nostalgia. So the point I was making about Halo and why it's important and it fits into my larger point is there is a massive uproar right now in gaming with Halo because obviously Halo Infinite was a pretty bad launch. That's probably the biggest bust as of late is Halo Infinite. That's pretty high up there. I didn't even think about that. You could argue that might be the biggest bust because it's Halo. So, but 343, the studio that's now handling Halo, came out and said that the long-awaited online co-op for Halo Infinite is set to come out, in the fall or something like that. They're going to release a beta, or they did the beta, but they said, "Hey, but we're not going to enable. We're not going to be able to bring back." Because there was talk that they were going to be bringing back the split screen local multiplayer for
yeah,
it, so you could sit and play it.
right.
And there was a massive uproar, at least in your Reddit communities and things like that. And I'm gonna be honest, and I'd ask any of you guys: does anyone in here want to get together with your friends in your living room and play Halo split screen on your television? Honestly, not really.
I mean,
You want the
No.
truth?
I've never played Halo like that. I've played it like maybe one time for 10
But let's
minutes.
say
But
go
but
here
I
on split screen.
but I think what the nostalgia point of that isn't to be in each other's houses. It's the style of game of co-op that
Bless
is
you.
missing.
Bless you.
right,
Let's see.
but you can play co-op games.
So wait. But the co-op fighter is like the Ninja Turtle, Streets of Rage. Like
Mm.
that's missing. Like co-op, co-op in general is not
in
gone, but
general,
there is specific nostalgia for like fighter games from that kind of style
Mm.
co-op. Not necessarily,
Right.
it's not
How
the
much
sitting. It's
playtime
not to
does
going
that
to
game have?
someone's house. It's the hey, we don't have a modern day like Streets of Rage like that. Like it was actually a Streets of Rage remake.
But
Hmm.
the reason I
It
say
was
it's
a it's
overrated,
a
to add to
it's a
your
Teenage
point, so you
Mutant
can
Ninja
build
Turtle
on it.
remake from that
So my
style of game.
question
You know what
to
I'm saying?
my question to you would be though is yes, we had fun playing that. But and why I say nostalgia is overrated, and maybe you can counter my point. How much time truly do you invest? Do you think we would be playing this Ninja Turtles game? We had fun for an hour and we played through it, but how much realistic nostalgic time playing in that game would we invest in it? Truly, I'm just curious. That would be my question to start.
I think it's small enough so that someone I know has beaten it, like, and then beaten like most of the challenges in the game with his buddy.
Right.
Like, so it really depends on what demographic you're talking about, because
Hmm.
the if I was to support or kind of like give a reason of why the split screen would work nowadays, is because the 40-year-old with his son playing
Hmm.
wants to play with his son, and he'll buy the game because of the nostalgia on his part. Now he could include his son or his son and daughter, or uh whoever else in the house, that might be living with that person, for them to play together. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like that's
I
enough.
think
It
how
doesn't
many
matter. It
people
like
have
actually doesn't matter
consoles?
how much time
So
after. The point is that we pull the trigger on a game like that and spend the money and get it. Like
mm.
that's after
So
that,
to me,
that's
then
not really
crossplay
but
fixes
here
that.
but here for me, see, so to build on that point, my perspective, both as the dad, but seeing my kids bring their friends over, because I remember with my son, and he would have people, we would have family friends over. Before I got really injured and stuff, I had people over a lot at my house. And one thing that happened when everyone was here is we played Smash Brothers, because that was probably the only co-op game we had, and you couldn't even play video games, and people were picking it up and just going wild. And I'll be honest, those are some great moments. I mean, couch co-op, couch co-op is fun. When you're sitting next to somebody, you say it's not happening now, but it's not happening now because there aren't games that do it. If you found a
But I don't
good,
know if
but
the
think about it.
demand. I
No,
don't know
but
if the
that's what I
demand
mean.
is there.
That's
I
what I
don't think
mean.
there's a
Wait,
demand
wait, wait, wait,
anymore
wait.
for
Hold on,
that.
hold on, hold on. Let's back up a smidge, because we just need to. So first things first, what we did with Ninja Turtles was fantastic. Just being able to play a game together,
That we
regardless
didn't
of all
own.
of us owning it or not,
Right.
just one of us owning it and being able to share that was a fantastic experience. The fact that it worked that flawlessly was even better. So if we can get more of that going on in the gaming world, I would fucking love that. Tell me
Yeah.
that only one of us have to buy a game so that way we can share it with each other to play,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
can all have the same experience. Like Avante was playing on fucking mouse and keyboard because he didn't have a controller that worked. But the rest of us are over here like, haha, this is fun as fuck. And he's
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
sucks. you know? But that's part of it. That's part of that experience thing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I'm talking about, that sharing. While yes, it doesn't bring that couch co-op, which is fine. Couch co-op neither here nor there. If the situation so allows for it, and you
Mm-hmm.
have something that can let you do that,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Because I know when I was a kid, that's what we used to do. We used to
Right.
play Mortal Kombat or Tekken.
Right.
Winner stays on, loser gets off, and that's how we played for every single time we were all together. But I mean, nowadays, I'm more than likely to play with you guys from our respective houses. It's just more convenient that way.
And we kind of live far from each other, so.
But I don't.
Technically,
I
when you
just don't think gaming.
technically when
I
you
just don't
think
think
about it,
gaming is like that way though. I don't think that many people.
well, it
You
really
know.
does depend on the situation. It's not even whether or
Yeah.
not people are looking for it. It really does depend on the situation. For us, we're not looking for that, but there's
Right. Right.
probably other people that
I do.
are.
I do think there is an audience and a actual demographic, and I see it in
No,
the younger generation.
exactly. Because my
Yeah.
kids, when I walked in the house this afternoon, when I got home from work, they were sitting in the living room playing something together on the fucking Switch.
Right.
Some dumb like kitty lamb, some shit or other thing that they were just sitting here playing on the Switch together.
Yeah, I
Like that.
have,
That's dope.
and I like that personally because I mean, as a gamer who's actually a parent, if I can get into a game with them, I would. Like, see, I actually have the unique how you call it. I have multiple PCs in my house. So even PC games we play together. I've had friends come over with their laptops, hook it up to my LAN, and we play League together, and there is nothing better. Listen, don't get me wrong. When I'm playing with you guys, we have a great time. But when I've played with my little brother Tiny and my son, we were all in the same room and we're playing League. I can honestly say that experience, and they even say it's just completely
It's different.
completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, even games, think about card games, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh. Those are games, yeah, now you can play it online, it's awesome, but it's not the same thing as having your friends around the table. Think about a game like Dominoes. You know what I mean?
People get shot
As
over
it's a,
dominoes.
it's a simple it's a simple game where you're matching the card that you have to the what's on either end of the board. That you could play that online. How boring is that game online though? I've tried to play it online and it's just
It's not the same. The energy's different.
there is no fun. But yet
Yeah.
when you're with people, that's what I'm saying. The interaction part, I don't think it should go away completely. I mean, I'm not saying it should be totally marketed for, but it looks like they haven't marketed it towards that that type of demographic of couch co-op at all. I mean, a lot of the games that have come out since 2000 have completely lacked co-op in general. That's kind of why I like Destiny, because Destiny was a first person shooter game where you had your PvP, but it was mostly about player versus monster. You know what I mean? You had the co-op of going after objectives together, which, in my opinion, has always been awesome. I mean, think about it. How much? And I play Destiny solo, and you do stuff in Destiny, you do stuff solo. It's just not the same where you're playing it with your friends, not just with a group of people, because you
DJ
could
and
do
jumping puzzles.
you could.
You know, there you go. And
Yikes!
that's case in
Yikes!
point. DJ and jumping puzzles.
Because
You
there's
know,
Yikes!
there's been times that Avante has come over my house in the past when when we were younger. Yeah, that was a long time ago. And we would just start playing video games. We weren't even good at them, but we were having that interaction. There's something about that because human interaction is still good. I mean, I don't think we should get away
Gotta
from
go
that
touch
aspect.
grass.
Don't get
Gotta
me
touch grass.
don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? As you grow up, you make new friends, but there's still something cool about having friends over and playing a video game. And the TVs are bigger. I've like you can actually have a TV for yourself technically if we go by what we used to play on when we were smaller, cuz I don't know about you, but I played on this
so
little 12-inch black and white TV, my Nintendo that I used to hook up with the forks in the back because that was the only connection that they had back then for those TVs. And we would play, me and my bro would play, or like a friend would come over, we would play two player, whatever. And I don't know if it's the nostalgia so much that's what feels good, or that actual human interaction with another person that is what feels good. And I don't think we should go away from that. Honestly, I mean,
So we're all gonna join Metaverse then.
no, thank you. I'm
That's
law.
what
not
he wants
interested
to
in
do. Well,
owning
that's what he
virtual land.
wants to do, and that's his whole idea. Is that well, the metaverse idea is that you can maintain interaction with visual eye contact because it's all tracking your face now. So when you
I
look,
want
your
I want to
eyeballs
give
move and
FaceTime
your
you.
avatar.
I
If
want to
that's
give
what you, if
I
you
want to
really
give
want to see me,
somebody
I'll FaceTime you.
5. I want to give somebody 5 when I do good. I want to, like, you
Remember,
know what
we're
I mean?
old, so we have a certain
Listen, I'm
we have
still
a certain
giving.
level of human interaction as part of our day to day. Like I like talking to people on the phone occasionally, like things like that. We all
I get
kind of
enough human interaction when I pack my ass into the subway car every day to go to the office.
Yeah, but
That's
that's not human
That's enough
interaction.
human interaction
That's
for
not
me.
that's not
And then I come home and
human
fuck with y'all on
interaction
the
you want.
That's
internet, and
human
my
package action.
you know.
But it's
Yo, how you
different when
doing?
it's somebody you want to be with, though. Trust me. I mean, come on. Let's be real about it. I mean, it's different when you're with someone you want to be with. When it's somebody you enjoy being around, no matter how bad your day is. You say you don't want to be with someone, but then that one person that you're good friends with shows up, and it's like everything changes. The mood changes. I don't know if that's just me. You guys could just sit and talk or whatever, you know. That same friend, you guys could play a video game, you know, when you want to chill out. I don't know. I just feel like that experience has always been a really really good experience. Let me just ask this last question though. We've been talking for a long time. Holy cow. So this one is totally subjective, and I want everyone to say what they say, and if you disagree with whoever says what, feel free to say why. But what is the greatest game of all time? Just say
What
it.
is the greatest game
Greatest
of all
game.
time?
Greatest
Greatest
game
game
of
of
Not
all
your
all
time.
most
time.
favorite game, but the
The
greatest game
greatest.
of all
The
time.
greatest.
Hmm.
Greatest game of all time.
Greatest game of
So
all time.
the greatest game and my favorite game would not technically be the same games.
No,
Maybe.
that's the point.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean,
Maybe.
greatest game of all time. That's hard.
Maybe.
I
The truly greatest game of all time. The greatest video game of all time.
no.
What could
That's a trick question. That's a trick question.
What is the greatest game? We talked
Like,
about this the other
like,
day.
like, no, that's a trick question. There is no greatest game of all time because, like, it's we literally had the same exact. We said the same thing that like we
Well,
had the
because, right,
conversation
it's
and we never
subjective.
came to a
It's subjective.
consensus.
You guys are
Because
gonna say
I
Diablo 2 though.
no. Well, the
No,
problem
no,
is
Diablo,
because the
definitely
greatest
not.
Super
Definitely not.
Metroid.
No,
Super Metroid.
game.
I don't like Metroid,
Super
Castlevania. Mm-mm. False.
Super
Hmm.
Metroid.
False.
Wow.
All of
Super
Metroid is caca. Metroid is garbage.
Super Metroid.
I would argue that probably the great. It's funny because if you Google like IGN's greatest game list of all time,
IGN
they
is
put-
biased.
they put
Yeah,
Breath of the
they-
Wild at the top, and now I think that Breath of the Wild
Really?
is a dog shit game.
I didn't
Yeah.
think Breath of I thought it
Yeah.
was good.
Again, I
didn't
don't think
it was
Breath of the Wild
amazing,
incentivizes combat, which takes away. I
Yeah.
think the greatest game of all time, in my opinion, is probably Ocarina of Time, personally,
Lies.
because it hit. I think it checked. I think it checked all the boxes in terms of a game. It has. You can go back and replay it.
Super Metroid.
It had side questing.
Okay, hold on. Let's put a pause real quick. Top 10 greatest games of all time according to Metacritic. Okay, ready? Number 1, Ocarina of Time.
Oof.
Okay.
Number 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I don't know about y'all,
Ooh,
but that is a
what?
fantastic
Mad games.
fucking
He
game.
sold mad
An
games.
amazing fucking
He
game.
had like a record-setting number
Yes.
of
Number
games sold.
number
Yeah.
2 though? Interesting.
According to
In
Metacritic.
top 3.
This is according to Metacritic
I never
by
played it,
user
but-
score.
Mm,
I got
Okay,
you.
so this is by us, not by them. This is by us,
interesting.
the fans. Number 3, Grand Theft Auto 4. Number
Really?
4, this is a really odd one because it just doesn't make sense.
StarCraft.
No, Soul Calibur.
What?
What?
Okay.
Soul
Calibur.
Calibur
Of all
1?
the fighting games, they
Soul
made it.
Calibur 1.
They're one.
Soul
They're number
Calibur?
one
Now,
over.
I'm not
any
sure
other
if you guys know
fighting game.
this, but Soul Calibur was originally released as Soul Blade.
Yes, I do know
Right.
that.
Soul
I-
Blade was
yes.
trash.
I do know that.
I never played it,
So-
but I didn't know that.
Number 3 and number 5 are the same game, but for 2 different systems. I'm not sure how the fuck they let that happen.
Super biased.
Okay.
It's Grand Theft Auto 4
The
for
fix.
360.
That's the fix.
Yeah. Now, mind you, we must be stupid to have
How-
let this happen.
How many
because,
bot accounts? How many bot accounts?
Number 6 is Super Mario Galaxy. Number 7, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Number 8, Red
What?
Dead 2. Number
Oh, this
9,
is
Grand
super
Theft Auto
recent.
5. And
These are
number
all super
10 is
recent.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Nah,
So
Wait,
there
I
has to
what?
be some
cannot accept
criteria.
this as being no. This is Metacritic, all time, all platforms by user score.
That's
That makes no sense. How are they tracking any of the games before Grand Theft Auto 4?
yeah. I
Like,
was gonna
I don't
say
know.
how are they tracking that before
This
Tony Hawk?
only hold on.
How?
This only goes back.
Because Tony Hawk is probably
I
the oldest
can't
game on that
even.
list, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
Release date of
How
September
would they
20,
track that?
2000.
Well, I
Yeah.
never got the survey to say what's my favorite game. I mean, what's up with that? That ain't cool. I want to get the survey, man. I'll tell them my favorite game, Super Metroid, greatest game of all time. It had exploration, it had good combat, it grabbed
Okay,
you. It wasn't that long. The soundtrack was
so
amazing.
hear this next top 10 coming from Games Radar. Oof, Halo squeaking in at number of 11 is Halo.
The first one.
Feels bad. Yes, the first one. So number 10, Metal Gear Solid.
Mm.
Number 9, Mario 64.
Hmm.
8, Last of
Oh,
Us.
Last of Us.
7,
They said the
7.
remake of Last of Us is basically like a 9 out of 9.
wow.
So
9.9 out of 10.
so
It's a double.
7, here we go. A very, very classic, Tetris.
Okay.
Number
Mm.
6, Street Fighter 2. The original, not any of the redos or any of the extra ones that came out. The original.
Not Rainbow?
Number 5 is Minecraft. Number 4 is Half-Life 2.
Ooh.
Zelda Breath of the Wild is number 3. Doom is number 2. And number 1 is Dark Souls.
Get
What?
out of here.
Dark
And this is from
Souls.
Games Radar.
Dark Souls. We need
Dark
to put those
Souls.
people
Dark
on this
Souls is
podcast and
very
be like,
good.
you're wrong.
So, I mean, okay, hold on. Time Magazine has a 50 best games of all time.
Time
Let's see
Magazine,
what
what-
they
what-
say.
Time? What is time though?
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to hear this. I want to hear
Okay,
this.
here we go. Top 10 from Time.
Pong?
I like their top 10. Their top 10's
Oh.
not bad.
Oh,
It
man.
caters to everybody. Hold on,
I
top
didn't know
10. Here we
time
go.
was even around still. I thought they were gone.
Here we go. Number 10. Number 10. World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Oh,
Number 9. My all-time favorite PC game, Oregon Trail.
Oregon
Or-
Trail.
Dysentery,
Sure.
Because you can die of dysentery no matter what. And when they spoofed it on Teen Titans Go, I fucking lost my mind.
Hilarious.
I fucking peed my pants, bro. Number 8, Super Mario Brothers, the original.
Okay.
7, original. 11,
Super Mario
Legend of Zelda.
64 has got to be up higher. In my
I was going to say,
opinion.
yeah, Super Mario 64 was definitely one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the best one.
So,
I've played all the other ones.
7, original Legend of Zelda. 6, Minecraft. 5, Miss Pac-Man. 4, Doom. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is 3.
Mm,
Mario 64 is 2.
Hmm.
And
There we
Tetris
go.
is number 1.
Tetris. Well, if
Their
they go,
top 10 is not bad.
if they go by popularity, and I guess
Most played, maybe?
Right.
I don't know.
right, because Tetris, people just play Tetris. A lot of
'Cause
people
But who
Yeah.
doesn't
play
know
freaking
Tetris?
For Tetris
Yeah.
and World of Warcraft to make it, that's just like super everyone played it kind of thing. Like
Right.
everyone
Does that make it the
played it.
greatest game of all time? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it's not Super
guess-
Metroid, so it already lost.
I guess
Mhm.
it helps to define what makes a great game, and I don't know if we did that.
Right.
Okay. So here, just to put some things in perspective, from
Oh,
here's
here we
what
go.
time feel about games throughout history. BioShock is 42.
Fuck them.
Pong is 40.
That's the first F-bomb I've dropped on the whole
Pong.
thing, too.
Beat Bioshock. That's
Pong is
I
40.
mean, I get it. Like, you got to remember, Pong came out at a
Oh.
time that was like, you couldn't
It was
make
the-
Bioshock.
It was the only
Here we go.
game.
You ready?
That's
Wait,
like saying which game is better than Pong when the only game is Pong.
Pokemon is ranked 30.
Which one?
Pokemon is ranked 30. Pokemon Red
Which
and Blue.
one? Those people,
Red and
they're
blue.
already showing
Red and
their
Blue,
they're
ranked 30.
They're showing their failure already.
StarCraft 2,
Hey,
26.
we made a list. We made a list, guys. StarCraft 2. Let's go.
Halo, rounding out top 25.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, they have Flight Simulator in here at number 23. Okay,
The
I like their
original,
top.
the
Their
original
top 20
Microsoft.
solid. Hold on, here we go. Top 25 is Halo at 25, Final Fantasy 7 at 24,
Okay.
Flight Simulator 10 at 23, GoldenEye at 22,
Ooh.
best game ever at number 21, Diablo 2, and then Zork at 20.
Zork. Zork.
Yes, the
What the hell is
the
Zork?
text game.
Oh,
It's a
yes,
DOS text
yes,
game.
yes. I played that.
Yeah, you have to type turn
Right,
left,
right.
open chest.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
a dungeon.
That
Yes,
is
it
It
was
was
a
a
dungeon.
dungeon game. Yes,
I would
I
never
played
play
that.
that game.
I played
I
that.
think I've seen it,
Oh.
or I maybe tried it once, and I would never play. It's worse than an RPG for me, and because RPG is my least favorite, and like that is worse than an RPG. Just how slow that is. That's crazy.
Okay, so number 15, Counter Strike.
Hey,
Quake is 14.
nice.
Quake.
The best simulator ever, SimCity 2000 at number 13,
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
where you can go in and forcefully, create hurricanes to destroy your entire city. Best part of the game.
Just create.
Just create absolute chaos. Can you tell I was a little twisted as a child?
A little bit. Like it's like when you
Space
make
Invaders
Roller
is
Coaster
19
Tycoon and you
according
have
to
it
them.
drive into a lake. The train would just dump into a lake. Yeah.
We will not talk about roller coaster tycoon roller coaster mishaps. Whoops.
But otherwise, I don't like this list.
Wait, finish.
I mean, Dota 2's 49, Angry Birds 48, Guitar
what
Hero.
what was the top 10?
Top 10 was Warcraft, Oregon Trail,
Oh yeah, you already
Mario,
you were
Legend of
giving
Zelda,
us
Minecraft.
ones
Yeah,
further
just
down.
jumping around the list. Yeah, like
such
they
a,
have Final Fantasy 6 at number 12.
such a subjective question.
Yeah, it really is. Like,
Yeah.
you see how wide these lists are? Like, it's crazy.
Word. All right.
Like the
Yo.
ones that only have new games in their top 10, that's absolute bullshit. That's a
Yeah.
travesty.
Yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah,
So gaming is definitely going in an interesting direction. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here. I really appreciated you guys just jumping on and just going along with this. This has been our first panel discussion. It was interesting. It was very interesting. Just hearing your opinions on a lot of the questions. They were all pretty much subjective. There was no. It definitely wasn't a great answer. And hopefully we
I
keep.
found the list. I found
Uh-oh.
the list for you. Hold on, real quick.
Oh, God.
Polygon has Super Metroid as number 10.
Lol.
That's your list.
Told-
There you go. I
told
found
you.
one just for you.
Told you. I'm gonna link that one in the Discord. I want to check that out.
This is 500 best games of all time.
500, and it made 10.
This list is actually not too far from Time's list and every other list we've looked at.
Really?
Maybe the last 3. They also have Minecraft, Street Fighter, Pac-Man, Doom, and Mario, Zelda, Tetris in the top 10. Yeah, the top 10s are pretty close.
Awesome. All right, so let me just wrap this up. So I just
Okay.
want to say thank you for listening, everyone who tuned in, and just continue being awesome. Remember, Jesus loves you, and ganadora.